Hey everybody, I'm going to take a few minutes to explain what you need to do to complete week 3 assignment 2 on revising for style. First thing you'll want to know is that the lessons that sort of go along with this assignment are there in the week 3 module under the grammar and mechanics lesson. It's the mini lessons on eliminating ineffective writing, modifiers, and sentence combining, right? At least go through those handouts for each of those mini lessons. If any of the handouts seem a little confusing or you're not quite certain of, what I'm talking about, what the handout is referring to, maybe then watch the video for that mini lesson so you can hear me go through it in a little more detail. Next thing that you need to know is this assignment will be done as a text submission. The easiest way to complete it is, of course, to copy and paste the entire assignment into the text box and then mark your answers. If you're unable to do that, you can, simply type in your answers into the text box. Just make sure you number them accordingly, and it's easy for me to tell what goes with what. But again, the easiest way is to copy and paste it if you can, and then you can mark your answers right there in everything. But we do have 3 parts to this assignment. Part 1 is on cliches. This goes along with the eliminating ineffective writing lesson. So what we're looking for here is to identify any cliches or clutter words that you find in the paragraph that's included in Part 1. So we have this paragraph about this recent trip to Nashville, Tennessee. In that paragraph, we have quite a few cliche phrases that have been used and a good number of clutter words that have been used. Your job is to find them. There are at least 20 items that could be underlined or highlighted in this paragraph. I think it's really upwards of 30. I want you to try to find at least 10. But don't just go underlining or highlighting everything. Think about what a cliche is. Think about what a clutter word is. If you're not sure, if you're hearing me say those terms and you're not sure, go back to the lesson first. And then come back and attempt to find as many cliches and clutter words as you can in the paragraph. Part 2 is on modifiers. So the lesson on modifiers covered misplaced modifiers and dangling modifiers. So part 2 here of this assignment is also asking you to work with both. You're going to read a sentence, and that sentence is either going to have a misplaced modifier or it's a dangling modifier. Your job is to fix it, but you have to know you have to know how to fix it. If it's a misplaced modifier, it just means something needs to be moved to a different part of the sentence. If it's a dangling modifier, it means something's actually missing from the sentence and you have to add it in. Okay? And I've given you 2 examples here. So, for example number 1, we're working with a misplaced modifier. It's just in the wrong spot of the sentence. The original sentence says, "They bought a puppy for my sister they called Fido." And I've even put in bold there the part of the sentence where to draw your attention to where the problem is. And the problem here is it makes it sound like the sister is called Fido. I hope that's not true. My guess is that it's actually the puppy that's called Fido. So we need to sort of rearrange the order of these words so that that is made clear and the reader doesn't get the wrong idea. So the correction would simply be, "They bought a puppy they called Fido for my sister." Right? Okay. The next example is with a dangling modifier. So our original says, "Unsure of where to go, the map came in handy." And again, the bold kind of draws your attention to where the problem is. Unsure of where to go, the map. Can a map be unsure of where to go? The map isn't unsure of where to go. A person, someone, is unsure of where to go. But that person has been left out of the sentence. We have to add them in somehow. There's different ways to do it. I've given you an example of a correction here. Since we were unsure of where to go, the map came in handy. Or you could have said, unsure of where to go, we thought the map came in handy. But the person or people who are unsure of where to go, they have been left out of the sentence. So we got to add them back in so that the sentence makes sense. Our brains can figure it out, but our brains shouldn't have to work that hard. We should make sure that our writing is crystal clear so that our readers don't have to do that extra work, right? So this is one way of doing that. So again, in part 2, you have 8 items. Each one contains either a misplaced or dangling modifier. Words are in bold to kind of draw your attention to the part of the sentence that's problematic, and your job is to fix it. If it's a misplaced modifier, you simply have to rearrange some of the words. If it's a dangling modifier, you're going to have to add a little bit in. But for the most part, every sentence should still be pretty much like it is. Maybe the words are rearranged a tiny bit. Maybe you've had to add in a subject, but we are not completely redoing these sentences or making them say something completely different. Work with what is there and fix the problem in each one. Okay? Part 3 is on sentence combining. So we're working with taking multiple sentences and combining them into one single grammatically correct sentence. One single sentence, grammatically correct. Use a semicolon if you absolutely have to, but there is a way to complete all of these without the use of a semicolon, still getting one single sentence that's grammatically correct. But I've given you an example, okay? So our original set of sentences in our example say, Oscar the Grouch is a character on Sesame Street. He is green and grouchy. He lives in a trash can. So we have 3 separate sentences there, all about Oscar the Grouch. Our job is to take the important information from each of those 3 sentences and create one single sentence instead. So combined, we have Oscar the Grouch is a green and grouchy character on Sesame Street who lives in a trash can. One single sentence, grammatically correct, used all the important information from all 3 sentences. Your job is to do the same thing in the 3 groups of sentences that you're given there in part 3. So again, for number 1, you have 3 sentences. You're going to take those 3 sentences, take the important information from all 3 sentences. Don't leave anything out. Don't leave any of the main ideas out. Get it all into one single grammatically correct sentence. Number 2, you have 4 sentences to combine. And number 3, you have 3 sentences to combine. Don't leave anything out. Make sure it's grammatically correct, though. Because one of the things that you're going to run into possibly when you're taking complete sentences and trying to combine them, you have a tendency to end up with run-on sentences or comma places. So this is another good practice for you to not only get to the next level of writing more complex sentences, but to use those new skills with run-on sentences and comma places to make sure that you aren't committing those errors in the process of combining your sentences, right? So again, this is all practice, but use it wisely. It's okay if you do end up getting them wrong. I will give you feedback and let you know. You're going to get full credit as long as you try. But try, put some effort into it, because the better you can start doing on these assignments, these practice assignments, the better you're going to do on your formal writing assignments later on in the term. Okay? Try to have it submitted by Sunday at 11:59. And don't forget to refer back to those mini lessons in week 3 if any of this stuff starts to get a little confusing or you're uncertain of something. I'm also here if you have questions or want more clarification on anything. Definitely reach out to me if you have any technical difficulties with any of it. But otherwise, just do your best.